Have you ever walked out of someone's house feeling more tired than when you walked in? You came for a quick visit, maybe a cup of coffee and a friendly chat, but left feeling emotionally drained, irritated, or strangely heavy. At this stage of life, after 65, those feelings aren't just passing moments. They're signs. Signs that it's time to be more mindful of where and with whom you spend your precious time. You see, as we age, our energy isn't what it used to be. Our time feels more valuable, and our peace of mind becomes sacred. We've spent decades taking care of others, saying yes out of obligation, and showing up even when we didn't want to. But now it's time to protect what matters most, our well-being. The truth is, not every visit is worth it. Some people, even those we've known for years, unintentionally drain us. It's not about cutting people off or living in isolation. It's about recognizing the patterns and choosing peace over pressure. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 types of people whose homes you may want to avoid after 65. These aren't just difficult personalities. They're people whose presence can chip away at your happiness, little by little, until one day you wonder why you feel so exhausted after a simple get-together. So grab a warm cup of tea, settle into your favorite recliner, and stick with us. Because understanding who not to visit is just as important as knowing who to keep close. Let's talk about how to guard your peace, honor your time, and make your golden years truly golden. 1. The chronic complainer. You know the type. You walk through their front door, and within seconds you're met with a sigh, a long face, and a story about everything that's wrong. Maybe it's their back pain acting up again. Maybe it's the cost of gas, the weather, or how no one calls them anymore. It doesn't matter what's going right in the world. If you sit down long enough, they'll find a way to focus on what's going wrong. At first, you might feel compassion. After all, you've probably had days like that too. We all do. But the difference is, a chronic complainer doesn't just have bad days, they live in them. Their conversations are less about sharing and more about venting. And over time, their negativity doesn't just fill the room, it starts to seep into you. Think about it. Have you ever visited someone who left you feeling heavier than when you arrived? You were in a decent mood, maybe even looking forward to the visit. But by the time you left, your shoulders felt tight, your spirit low, and you couldn't quite shake the gloom. That's the power of constant complaining. It's contagious. It shifts your energy, even when you try to stay positive. And here's the tricky part. It doesn't always start big. Sometimes it begins with small remarks. Didn't sleep a wink last night, or that neighbor's dog barked again. But before you know it, you're listening to an hour-long list of grievances, politics, family, doctors, the government, the price of eggs, the weather forecast next week. It never ends. Now let's be clear. It's okay to be there for people going through a rough time. Everyone deserves a shoulder to lean on now and then. But there's a big difference between someone who's struggling and someone who's stuck. Chronic complainers don't want comfort or solutions. They want validation. They want an audience. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself cast in the role of the ever-patient listener, visit after visit. What's even more exhausting is when you try to shift the conversation towards something lighter. Mention your granddaughter's graduation or a recent road trip to Arizona, and they'll either dismiss it or pivot right back to their misery. Must be nice to have people who care enough to invite you, they'll say. Or, I used to travel before my hip went bad. It's like joy makes them uncomfortable. Over time, these visits start to feel less like a friendly catch-up and more like an emotional chore. You may begin to dread the next invitation, knowing exactly what kind of atmosphere awaits. And if you leave their home feeling drained, irritable, or oddly sad, you're not imagining it. That's your mind and body telling you something. You're absorbing someone else's emotional weight. And after 65, you simply don't have time for that anymore. You've earned peace. You've earned laughter. You've earned conversations that lift you up, not ones that drag you down. Offering kindness doesn't mean sacrificing your mental health. Being supportive doesn't mean being someone's emotional sponge. You are not responsible for solving someone else's unhappiness, especially when they're not trying to solve it themselves. So what can you do? Start by setting boundaries. Keep your visits brief or meet in neutral places like a cafe or park where it's easier to excuse yourself. Gently steer conversations toward gratitude and hope. If they resist or pull you back into the negative spiral, it's okay to say, I'm trying to focus on the good in life right now. That's not being rude, that's self-care. And if that doesn't work, it's perfectly acceptable to step back altogether. You can still care about someone without subjecting yourself to their toxic cycle. Choosing your peace isn't selfish, it's wise. The truth is, the people you surround yourself with shape your days. And after 65, every day matters more than ever. Fill them with people who smile more than they sigh, who ask how you're doing and actually listen, who laugh at old stories and dream about new ones. Life's too short and too precious to spend it sitting in someone else's storm cloud. 2. The manipulative user. Not everyone who welcomes you into their home does so out of love or genuine connection. Sometimes there are people in our lives who open their doors with a smile, but behind that smile lies an agenda. You might not see it right away. In fact, at first it may seem like a simple favor or an innocent request. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They don't reach out to spend time with you. They reach out when they need something. We've all known people like this. They call you up out of the blue. Can you stop by this afternoon? You walk in, and after a few minutes of pleasantries, the real reason surfaces. They need help fixing the curtain rod, or a ride to the pharmacy, or someone to sit with them while they wait for a delivery. It's not that you mind helping, you're generous, and you've always been the dependable type. But the problem is, these requests aren't occasional. They're constant, and they're never truly about you. Manipulative users don't always ask directly. That's part of what makes them so tricky to spot. Instead, they lace their requests with flattery, guilt, or emotional pressure. They'll say things like, "You're the only one I trust," or "I don't know what I'd do without you." At first, it feels nice to be needed, but eventually you begin to realize it's not about closeness, it's about control. And if you ever say no, you'll see their true colors. Maybe they get quiet, maybe they pout, or worse, they make you feel bad, like you've let them down. That's not love, that's emotional manipulation. And after 65, you've earned the right to recognize it for what it is. You see, healthy relationships are built on balance, give and take, support that flows both ways. But with a manipulative user, the scales are always tipped. You give, they take. You check in, they ignore. You go out of your way, and they act like it's owed. They may not be cruel. They may not raise their voice, but their pattern is clear. They treat your kindness like a service. And what's more, they often assume you have nothing better to do, as if being retired means being at their beck and call, as if your time is somehow less valuable. But let's pause and ask something important. Would they do the same for you? If the tables were turned, if you needed a ride, a favor, or just someone to talk to, would they show up? Would they drop what they're doing for your needs? If the answer is no, then you're not in a friendship. You're in a one-sided transaction. It's especially painful when the manipulator is someone close, maybe even family. You don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to create distance. But remember, being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. Being helpful doesn't mean being used. Here's something else to notice. When you're around them, do you feel appreciated or do you feel obligated? Do you look forward to visiting or do you feel drained before you even knock on the door? Your answers to those questions will tell you everything you need to know. It's perfectly okay to help someone in need, but when your generosity becomes expected, when it's no longer about connection but convenience, it's time to step back. It's not cruel, it's not cold, it's self-respect. So how do you handle it? Start with boundaries. If you suspect someone is using you, limit your visits. Be honest about your time. I'm not available today, or I've got things I need to take care of. You don't owe anyone a detailed excuse. A simple no is enough, and watch their reaction. If someone respects you, they'll understand. If they try to guilt you, dismiss you, or get upset, They weren't valuing you to begin with. They were valuing what you do for them. The older you get, the more important it becomes to protect your energy. You deserve relationships that are mutual, warm, and real, not ones that leave you feeling used or unappreciated. So from now on, ask yourself this: do I feel seen, heard, and valued here? If the answer is no, it's time to gently step away. Because your time, your presence, and your kindness are gifts, and you should only give them to those who truly treasure them. 3. The drama magnet. You show up for a friendly visit, maybe hoping to catch up, share a laugh, or enjoy a quiet afternoon, and instead you walk right into the middle of an emotional tornado. That's what it's like being around a drama magnet. These are the people who don't just attract conflict, they create it. And when you're in their orbit, you can't help but get swept up in the chaos. No matter when you visit, there's always something going on. A feud with the neighbor, a bitter argument with their adult child, a dispute with the pharmacist, or a dramatic story about how someone wronged them at the grocery store. And the thing is, it's never their fault. They're always the victim, always misunderstood, always at the center of the storm. At first, you might think they're just passionate, that they feel things deeply. But as time goes on, you begin to notice a pattern. There is always drama. Peace makes them uncomfortable, so they stir the pot, gossiping, exaggerating, twisting stories, or bringing up old wounds just to keep the flames alive. And here's where it gets exhausting. They don't just want to tell you about their problems. They want you to take sides. Before you know it, you're being pulled into conflicts that don't involve you. They'll say things like, "Don't you think I was right?" Or, "Can you believe what she said to me?" If you nod, they pull you in closer. If you don't, they grow cold. Or worse, they turn the drama toward you. That's the danger of being close to someone who thrives on conflict. Eventually, even you can become part of the storyline. And let's be honest, at this point in life, who needs that? After 65, peace of mind isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. We've lived through our share of hard times, raising families, working long hours, navigating loss, illness, and change. The last thing we need is someone dragging us into emotional chaos that has nothing to do with us. Drama magnets often disguise their behavior as just being honest or venting. But there's a difference between opening up and constantly creating tension. And if you leave their home feeling tense, anxious, or like your thoughts are spinning, that's your cue. That's your body telling you something's off. It's important to remember that you are not responsible for fixing their conflicts. You are not obligated to be a referee in someone else's ongoing battles. And you certainly don't need to listen to gossip that pits you against other people in your life. What's more, the stress of ongoing drama can have a real impact on your health, raising blood pressure, disturbing your sleep, and even weakening your immune system. The toll is real, even if the conflict isn't yours. So how do you protect yourself? Start by staying neutral. Don't engage in the gossip. Don't take sides. If they ask for your opinion, it's okay to say, "That sounds complicated. I hope it works out," and then gently change the subject. If the tension continues, limit your visits. You don't have to announce a grand exit. Just protect your space, quietly and consistently. And here's something powerful. You don't owe anyone your peace. If someone's home feels more like a battleground than a place of comfort, you have every right to step away. The truth is, life gets better when you stop participating in unnecessary drama. You'll find more time to enjoy hobbies, connect with friends who uplift you, and focus on things that bring real meaning. Time is too precious to waste on conversations that leave you emotionally drained or tangled in other people's messes. Real friendship isn't based on shared enemies. It's built on shared joy, support, and mutual respect. So the next time you're tempted to just drop by the house of someone who always has a new conflict brewing, ask yourself, will this visit leave me feeling better or worse? Because at this stage of life, you deserve calm, you deserve lightness, and you deserve relationships that restore you, not ones that steal your peace and leave you feeling worn thin. Choose people who bring you sunshine, not storms. 4. The negative nostalgic. There's something beautiful about reminiscing. Looking back on the good old days can warm your heart, bring a smile, and remind you of how far you've come. But not all trips down memory lane are joyful. Some people don't visit the past. They live there. And when they do, they often carry with them bitterness, regret, and resentment. We're talking about the negative nostalgic, the person whose every conversation circles back to what went wrong, who betrayed them, or how life was never fair. At first, you might think they're just reflecting. After all, everyone has their own share of pain and disappointment. But the difference is, these individuals don't just recall the past, they relive it over and over, dragging you along for the ride. You might visit their home expecting a little company or a cup of coffee, but within minutes you're pulled into a monologue about how things used to be better, how the world has gone downhill, and how nothing good ever happens anymore. The tone is rarely one of fond remembrance. It's more like unresolved anger wearing the mask of nostalgia. They'll bring up an argument from 20 years ago, a family rift that never healed, a job they should have gotten, a life they should have had. And as they talk, you'll notice something. The more they dwell on the past, the less joy they seem to find in the present. And here's where it affects you. Even if you arrive at their home in a good mood, eager to share some happy news, you'll likely leave feeling deflated, maybe even doubtful of your own joy. Why? Because negative nostalgia is quietly contagious. It can make you start questioning your own past, wondering if you missed out, if you were wronged, if maybe life never did turn out the way it should have. But here's the truth. You don't live in the past anymore, and you shouldn't have to visit someone else's pain every time you walk through their door. There's a difference between sharing memories and being trapped by them. One honors what was, the other denies what is. And after 65, you deserve to be around people who see beauty in both, who cherish yesterday, but live in today. Of course, it's okay to talk about hard times. Life hasn't always been easy. But when someone only talks about what they lost, never what they've gained, you start to carry the weight of their discontent. Over time, their hopelessness begins to cast a shadow over your own outlook. And little by little, you might start believing that the best parts of life are already behind you. But that simply isn't true. There's still joy to be found in the present, still memories to make, still laughter, discovery, and love waiting in small, everyday moments. Whether it's your morning walk, a phone call from your grandkids, or that slice of warm pie cooling on the kitchen counter. The danger of spending too much time with a negative nostalgic is that they can dull your appreciation for now. They'll tell you that everything's worse than it used to be, that aging means losing, that there's nothing left to look forward to, and if you're not careful, you may start to believe them. So what can you do? Start by listening with compassion, but don't let their view become your own. If the conversation starts turning dark, gently shift the focus to something more hopeful. I know the past was tough, but what's something you're enjoying these days? If they can't or won't engage, it may be time to limit your visits or create distance. Protect your peace. Protect your optimism. You don't owe anyone your presence if their company leaves you feeling discouraged or stuck. You've worked hard to reach this stage of life, and you deserve to enjoy it, not be pulled back into pain that isn't yours to carry. Surround yourself with people who talk about plans, not just problems. People who light up when they see you, not those who dim your light. People who say, "Wasn't that a wonderful time?" and still believe the best is yet to come. Because even if your knees ache and your calendar looks a little quieter than it used to, your spirit is still capable of joy, laughter, connection, and wonder. And that's the kind of life worth living, not in the rearview mirror, but right here, right now. As we wrap up, take a quiet moment to reflect on the people you spend your time with. After all, time feels different now. It's not just measured in hours or days, but in how those moments make you feel. Do you leave someone's home feeling uplifted, energized, and truly seen? Or do you walk out carrying a weight that wasn't yours to begin with? At this stage in life, peace isn't just a preference, it's a priority. You've walked through decades of responsibility, challenge, and change. You've earned the right to choose comfort over chaos, calm over conflict, and connection over obligation. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out or closing your heart. It means being intentional, recognizing that your energy is valuable, that your presence is a gift, and that not every invitation deserves a yes. Whether it's the chronic complainer, the manipulative user, the drama magnet, or the person trapped in the past, these relationships can quietly chip away at your well-being. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for them and for yourself, is to step back and protect your peace. Surround yourself with people who see the good in you, who laugh with you, grow with you, and remind you that even now there's still beauty ahead. Because there is. Your golden years should feel golden, filled with light, meaning, and the kind of quiet joy that only comes from living life on your own terms. You deserve that, and it starts with the company you keep.